Put the bunny down. Put the bunny down. Put the bunny down. Put the bunny down.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Hello and welcome to Con Air, the podcast. I am Mark, that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty, Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay, Johnny Zero Cluett. Well, specify zero.
I have no hearts on my forearm.
Welcoming you aboard Con Air, the podcast, Chapter 7. On this podcast, Mark and I are flying through all 40 chapters of Con Air, one a week, with some wonderful guests. And this week is Chapter 7. What happens in Chapter 7? Well, they board the plane. We're on the plane, guys. They get on the plane. Malloy secretly plants a gun on undercover Agent Sims' ankle. He then boards the plane. We meet Pimble Parker a little more. He mistakes Poe for someone he knows. Poe starts a beef with Bedlam, and then Guard Falzone introduces us to the rules of the flight and some of our other inmates. So we need someone to help talk us about this. They are getting on a mode of transport. This is like a pre-flight check, so it makes sense to have somebody who's been on a lot of airplanes, who spends their time flying all around the world, staying in various places. From almostginger.com, it's Rebecca Sharp. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. You two have met on the Lambcast before, I think.
Yeah.
I think the Scarlett
Maybe?
Johansson draft, if memory serves. I think you were both on.
Jesus Christ, Jay, that's
That's a memory.
bloody hell.
That was a good draft. I don't remember what I picked.
Yeah.
It was a fun one. In place of Black Widow coming out, we did that. And my brain is broken, I think. We just proved. Good.
You remember all the important things, at least.
I can't remember anything that happened to me before the age of 12, but I can remember what podcast you two have been on before.
That's impressive. That's really good.
Yeah.
Now, Rebecca, what would you say is the most insulting baked good to be called? Like, in this chapter, someone gets called a Nazi muffin.
Oh.
What would you
Well,
say?
my immediate thought was, of course, at that baking program, the Great British Bake Off, being called a soggy bottom is not good.
Yeah.
So maybe some sort of sad pie would be would be up there, especially if it had a soggy bottom. Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
I was talking to my wife, and she said, a tart would be a bad one.
Oh, yeah.
She said ginger nut.
A tart is a bad.
That'd be better if he called him a Nazi scone, because everyone would just go, why? What?
Well,
Like, that
I
would
mean,
be the
muffin's
confusion.
hardly an insult.
Yeah, Nazi muffin, but like Nazi muffin sounds like an insult, doesn't it? Like, hey, you Nazi muffin.
I mean, I was trying to work out what flavour that would be.
A Nazi
And
muffin.
I couldn't get beyond like white
Licorice?
chocolate.
Oh, God.
But
Yeah, there are supposedly English muffins, but I don't think German muffins exist. Although in Parks and Rec, someone says a German muffin, because I immediately have a vision of Ron Swanson going, "What the heck is a German muffin?" So
yes,
I don't know. Maybe this is a type of muffin that only exists in the cinematic universe.
I would hope
Whoa.
so. I can't imagine
Yeah.
a bakery selling many Nazi muffins.
No.
Well, depends on where
The
it is. of course.
NMCU.
The NMCU, yes.
American History X, this, a few other movies.
Yeah.
My favorite moment in the world, in this movie, my favorite quote in this movie, wait, where am I at? I think my favorite Cameron Poe line in this entire film happens in this chapter.
Is it or
And
shucks?
that's when Billy Bedlam looks at him and he goes, "What are you looking at,
Okay.
punk?" And Cameron Poe, ice cold, says, "Nothing. I was just admiring your cage. Fits you pretty good." Like, that's what I love about Cameron Poe. He's not the all shucks good guy trying to get home. He's not like, "I'm just trying to get home." Like, he is trying to get home, but he's got an attitude, and he sasses Falzone. He sasses Bedlam. Like, he's not going to back down from people. And I love that so much about him. He's a stone cold guy. I dig that about him.
he's clearly learned, these past few years that he's been in prison, not to immediately go and punch a guy as soon as he says the wrong word. This shows the growth of Cameron Poe, is that he just says a sassy comment back and he doesn't immediately, fight back with fists. He fights back with his words now. He's grown.
I've heard the criticism that Poe doesn't have much of an arc in Con Air, but he clearly does. It just happened entirely in the prison montage chapter.
It's a lot of years that he's not going to have his his growth period right at the very end of his prison sentence. It's not going to he's got something to show for it at least.
You make a great point too, because no, you're right, because he sasses Falzon, the cop, and then he sasses Bedlam, but he doesn't look angry. Like, he's not angry Cage from the beginning when he has the rain fight. Like, this is kind of he's become zen. Like, sass don't hit.
Yeah,
but
prison has mellowed him through Spanish and origami.
But he's such a tough, like, he's so tough. Like, Cage, I totally buy into him when he makes that comment to this guy. I don't know. I completely buy him not being afraid of this dude and just sassing a serial killer who did some horrible stuff.
Horrible things.
Horrible. And we still don't know what Baby Odell did. He's the worst of the worst, and we never know what he did.
We have our theories.
But he, I don't know. I just love it. That's what I love about him in this movie. He's not, he could have played this as like a super, I don't know, holier than thou guy, but he'll give it back to you. And that's like my favorite moment. Like, that's like Nick Cage thing where it's just, I don't know, he adds a little bit more to this character than anybody else would, and I dig that about him.
Yeah, because he offers no kind of condolences to Pinball Parker. He's not an all shucks guy. He literally says all shucks to Pinball, like, hello, nice guy, I just got caught. And Cameron's like, oh, shucks, turn back around, done with you.
Oh, it's beautiful. And then I like when Watts, the guy behind Nick Cage, starts laughing when he insults Bedlam.
And it's a good little extra. Cracks up as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good little extra moment in the back from Watts. And so just I don't know, admiring your Cage. You got a great chapter, Rebecca. I was watching this and like we've been stuck with Cusack the last 2 weeks, and he's great. I love Cusack. But like, between his sandals and like his sass and his loquaciousness, it's good to kind of get back on the plane with the villains.
This is the fun
this was
stuff.
Perfect. How happy were you watching this, Rebecca? Watching this scene?
I mean, it was a great one. I'm a big fan of Falzone, to be honest. Because really, don't worry, I'll only dip into what's coming, but we all know what's coming.
Feel free to discuss the whole film if you want to. It's absolutely fine.
No, but like, we know that they really don't have a long time on the plane before things get going. Like, literally immediately.
Next week.
Yeah. This is the only time where, everything kind of happens how the guards want it to. Like, it was just an extremely short period of time where, the status quo on the plane that was supposed to happen is happening. So you kind of got to savor that. It really is just this scene, and then things kick off. So it was a nice mellow one to start off with, before everyone just starts fighting each other and goes crazy.
I love Falzone as well. He's a guy I've not really paid much attention to before diving in quite this deep, but just the swagger, the kind of the way he walks up the aisle, the kind of the lumbering. Well, lumbering's the wrong word for it. He's just kind of like, the confidence he has, the arm swinging, the elbow jab he gives to Carl's when he spits on him.
That's a confident elbow jab.
But then he has to cradle his elbow afterwards because he really went for it and it hurt. So.
Yeah, the muffin got hit really hard.
he dented that muffin.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And that was Carl's.
Yeah.
I found his name. Carl's gets whacked.
Played by Doug Dirth, who had another role in Con Air. He's also John Cusack's assistant.
What?
No.
And he was his assistant again on Grosse Pointe Blank, Midnight in the Garden of Evil, Max, Runaway Jury, The Ice Harvest, The Contract, and 1408. He's the music coordinator for High Fidelity, the music supervisor for Grace is Gone, which is also the co-producer, and appeared on screen as Captain Riggs, and he played Jeff in Warring, which is also a co-producer. So he's basically latched on to Cusack and appeared in many of his films and been his assistant many times. So
I wonder what he's got on Cusack.
I know what you did on Con Air, Cusack.
Well, whatever it is, they got over it some time ago because they haven't worked together for at least a decade at this point. So
Oh no.
maybe Cusack got something back on Doug Death. Who knows?
And what I love about Falzone too is he's fast. His wit is quick, and even Cyrus the Virus calls him a funny person. I'm not going to say the word,
Yeah.
but yeah, he. I think Cyrus begrudgingly likes how fast he's like, oh, I'll never make love to a woman on the beach again, and it's preceded by the award-winning short, no more steak for me ever. Cyrus begrudgingly likes this man. I think so, because that's a burn. That's a really good burn from him.
Well, you gotta imagine the kind of guards that Cyrus normally deals with probably don't give him this quite so much repartee. Like it's nice to have somebody who actually gives a bit of back and forth.
And this reading, stewardess. Oh, when you were an air marshal, Rebecca, did you get this? Did you have this many arguments with prisoners on planes?
Well, I would always provide in-flight movies, so maybe not. That's where they went wrong.
What would you? Okay.
I think if everyone had a bit of entertainment, maybe they would have got so bored and gone, you know what, we're gonna cause a riot.
They should have put up just a film on for this flight. That would have been so much better. How much would that have how difficult would that have been to do, just to give some kind of entertainment for the flight?
The Rock. Put The Rock on, or Bad Boys. Promote a Bruckheimer film and keep them occupied.
You got like Baby looking at the screen and looking at camera next to him, looking back at the screen and camera next to him. Like, wait a minute. You're there, and you're
like a Scream 3 situation with Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
Which is a random poll. But yeah, if you had to annoy him, what movie would you put on? So you want to annoy Cyrus the Virus with an in-flight movie. Which one would you put on?
Well, he's apparently quite a clever guy, earned his doctorate or like a couple of masters or something. So I think I would have to put on something really dumb, maybe like Journey to the Center of the Earth or something, where just like the science does not compute. That's kind of a new movie. I guess if we're going like chronologically, I'd have to go before 97.
That's it. I was thinking the same thing with The Core, but that's 6 years too late as well.
Yeah, we've got to really, it's got to make sense in the. It's really important that it's before 97. I don't know. Something
But
really
I love
dumb.
that though.
Not sure.
Like, he can't wrap his head around it because the science is terrible, and it just bothers him.
Yeah, just something that's just like slightly irks him. I think would be a good one for Cyrus the Virus.
Police Academy 7.
Yeah, something like that. I think.
Mission to
Yeah.
Mars.
Definitely something where cops are the good guys.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So
something
yeah,
like
just
that.
the entire Police Academy franchise, just one after another.
What if they put
mean,
on In
how
the
long-
Line of Fire and just blew his mind?
How long is this flight? Where are they flying from and to? I didn't look this up.
Oh, Carson.
It's
They're
quite
going to Carson
quite
City and then
decent.
Alabama.
Okay, so it's quite a decent flight time.
Let's see. So
Few
from
hours?
Atlanta to California. I spelled a wizard. California. I don't know, I'm old. I remember that movie. Fred Savage playing Nintendo. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I
But
know
yeah,
of the
talking
film,
about.
but I have not seen it.
Maybe like 4 or 5 hours, yeah? So there's enough time for a good picture.
Yeah, they could do a double
Oh
bill.
yeah, get a few police academies out there, then definitely.
Yeah, they're not long films.
Yeah.
You can't sustain that kind of humour over more than 95 minutes, I think.
You don't want them enjoying it, ironically, either.
Yeah, there's some hijinks against
Yeah.
the cops in Police Academy, so that's probably the wrong franchise to go with.
I love
same-
that this is.
In
I
the
would
same
put
way,
on
you don't want to have like,
trial-
a naked gun, because then they're like cheering when Nordberg gets beaten up all the time.
Oh gosh.
So that wouldn't work.
I would do Trial by Error. It's another 97 film that I walked out of, and I just remember it being one of the, it sucked my soul from my body watching it. It was like a Dementor delivering a kiss on someone, whatever they call those things. So like that would be my pick, because I remember how I felt watching that movie, and I don't think I'll ever have that part of my life back. Well, I won't.
I can't
So,
even
yeah,
find
that's
this film online.
Trial and
Oh,
error.
trial and error. Okay.
So yeah, it's Jeff Daniels, Michael Richards, Charlize Theron,
Okay.
Rip Torn, and I just remember my soul being just ripped out from its body. So I would want to do that to Virus.
So we could go with like what are the most boring films? Like they could have that Andy Warhol Empire, where it's just the Empire State Building static shot for 8 hours, which people say is a film, but isn't a film. It was just background for an art installation. And people who have watched this on YouTube need to stop doing that, because it's not a film. It's never meant to just be watched.
Yeah, you'd be
Very
dropping
sad.
stupid facts about it too. Like, oh, well, he actually did this because of this. And you're like, oh no. That's Cyrus the Virus lecturing me. Oh gosh, I don't want that at all. That's not good.
So Rebecca, how does Falzon's pre-flight check compare to other ones that you've experienced jetting around the world?
Well, I mean, he doesn't say anything about safety. Doesn't point out where the exits are. He doesn't. There's no under your seat inflatable. There's no oxygen mask popping up from the top. I'm even quite curious about the inside of the plane. Is of course nothing like that I would ever see in any commercial. Have you spent a couple of the previous chapters talking about the planes used?
No, this is
we haven't.
only like the second time we've seen the plane. We've barely covered it.
Oh, fantastic, because I looked this up. I don't know if anyone else did, but I looked up the 3 planes that were used to stand in for the Con Air
fantastic.
plane. So they are a Boeing 737, which is a commercial aircraft, was introduced in the 60s and is still made in various forms. They call them generations, so I guess planes are like iPhones or something. They just bring out a new generation every
Always
now and again.
updating
but
all the
it's
time. Every few
always
days.
updating, which is good because this has been around since the 60s, so I am pleased that they've done some updating. So that was the commercial one, and then there was there's 3 planes that stood in for the Jailbird C-123. There was also the Saab 2000. This is kind of an in-between plane. This was not a full-blown commercial aircraft, but it's not small enough to be a private jet. There was only 63 of these planes built between 92 and 99, and 24 are still in service, mostly by a private and chartered airline running out of North Lincolnshire. And it was made in Sweden. So it's just how this plane was used is just quite baffling to me. And then the last one is a Hawker 800, which is a small, like, private commercial jet. They were only about 650 were made, and they were discontinued in 2013. So you've got 3 different size planes that all stood in for the Jailbird, a commercial one, an in-betweeny kind of regional plane, and then a smaller jet. Don't ask me where they were used, but I was just really curious to see what type of planes. But yeah, they did use 3 different planes to stand in as some of the shots. So there you go.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I wonder if some of them were used for like from the inside, some from the outside. I mean, I feel like this feels kind of like a real plane rather than a set. But then they probably hacked a plane apart to use it as a set, I guess, because you don't need to.
They put it on gimbals too. Like later on, when it's going up and down, they just put it on some gimbals. So when it's rocking later on, they were able to shake it all over the place, like on a soundstage.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nice.
And then, so the real Con Air plane is just like you were saying, like it's just a regular plane, but they didn't like it enough. So like, give me like a cargo airplane. It looks cooler. So then that's where this one comes in.
Yeah, because they use just regular planes for this kind of transport normally. But this one's real austere and stark. This needs to look so machine.
Literally like a cell.
Yes, exactly.
like a grey plane cell.
What I need to look this up, but what are the laws here? Because they're chained to their seats and in cells. So if it goes down, are they just prisoners? So you're not worried about it? Because you're not going to
probably, yeah.
Huh.
Like, because this is the first shot of this scene, isn't it? Of that guy with all of those handcuffs.
Yeah.
I love that
across
shot.
his back. It's a great shot. So yeah, you can imagine, like, I mean, this is the thing in regular planes, isn't it? Always put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. So the guards are like well, I'm getting off the plane.
We don't have oxygen masks for
Save
these
yourself
guys.
first.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah. See, I didn't even think about that in '97 when I was 15 watching this movie. But you know, Cyrus the Virus. I mean, I guess if he perishes somewhere over Idaho,
No one's gonna.
Yeah, big whoop.
No one's gonna say anything.
Because
Yeah.
there are no overhead compartments from which the oxygen mask will descend from.
No, there isn't.
There's like handholds that they can use to pull up with on like the long shots of Falzone's speech, but there's nothing above their heads. So
No luggage. Not even a photograph of your daughter Casey is allowed on the plane.
but I'm sure
So-
nothing's going to go wrong on this flight. I mean, why would they need any kind of oxygen masks or life jackets or anything?
Yeah.
now I have
crazy.
a visual of them rolling in their carry-ons, each criminal, and they have the things around their necks, and they have their like headphones over their ears.
Someone's got a real hard shell suitcase. They're trying to get it into the overhead thing. It's just not fitting. It's never going to
And
fit.
they know
They
it's-
can keep trying, but it's just not going to fit in there.
And
Not
they know
gonna
it's
fit.
too
Have to go in
big,
the hold.
but they bring it in anyway. Oh man, that's it. Do you like it when you're getting off the plane?
Yes.
And so normally it should be very orderly, where it's like 17 goes, and 18 goes, and 19 goes. How do you feel, Rebecca, when someone from 21 runs up and then stands there and kind of blocks everybody and prevents the flow? Even you know they're not in a rush. Like if they're in a rush, cool. But
If
they're
they get
how
into
do
a
you
connecting
feel?
flight, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. If they get into a next connecting flight, completely understand.
Everyone get out of the way.
Yeah, but no, I definitely think it should be a row by row situation. It's the only way that works. Order or nothing, really.
Civilized society.
A civilized world. Yeah.
Well, it kind of has to be, right? Order or nothing. I don't think it has to be totalitarian, but like a few people get up, kind of break the rules. Then the people who are following the rules get kind of annoyed, and then it just leads to pandemonium. Well,
I
these are
think
the
as
planes
well-
I've been on, and I probably started it.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. Yeah, definitely. Order is best for
But-
sure.
I am the kind of person who, when the seatbelt sign goes off, I do stand up. I know you can't go anywhere, but I still stand up just because I've been sat down for, like, if it's a flight to America, I've been sat down for 8 hours. I want to stand up, so I'm gonna stretch my legs a little bit, and you get like eye rolls from people, and I'm standing. It's still in my seat. I'm just standing up a little bit. I don't get why people get annoyed at that.
Now, this is the big deal breaker. Have you ever clapped when
Oh,
a
hell
plane
no.
has landed?
Ridiculous.
No.
Thank goodness.
I
I am
don't
firmly
clap in
team
the
no
cinema
clap.
either.
Oh God.
It
Yeah,
takes a
when
lot
that
to get me to
happens-
clap.
I've been on a few planes where people have clapped, but it's mainly like when I've flown to places like Dublin or the south of Spain where it's got quite a lot of drunk people on board and they're all like, "Hey!" at the end. You're going, "Oh Christ."
80% stag do's and hen parties. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much when people have clapped. But no, I've only ever been in, apart from like a festival, I've only ever been in one clapping cinema screen, and that was in Oxford, and that was Kingsman.
Oh.
Whoa.
The first Kingsman.
Okay.
How random is that? That's crazy. That's so random. I don't understand why people clapped, but there you
I
go.
mean,
Kingsman
Yeah,
Secret Service.
I like the film, but
Enough to clap.
What?
No.
Like the
Full-
end?
full-
Like the
full
end-
screen.
when
Full
Eggsy
screen clapping.
when Eggsy says it, like when he goes up to the princess at the end, when Sam Jackson gets impaled.
it's a
the
weird thing
church
to
scene?
applaud as the end scene of Kingsman.
Yeah, but like, what was the clapping for the movie over all our scenes?
No, it was just at the end, but I feel like honestly, people were just absolutely loving this film. There was like crazy like uproar, laughters like throughout the whole thing, and everyone was just absolutely vibing with this film. But anyway, yeah,
That's
so
a
that's
fun
the only
experience.
time that's ever happened in just like a normal everyday, not when fair enough, like some sort of festivals where the director's there and everything, maybe you want to show your appreciation, but like a random Thursday night in Oxford and it's Kingsman the Secret Service and everyone clapping. Very weird.
Something's in the
I
water.
expected better of Oxford, I suppose.
You know what the deal
yeah.
breaker is? When someone drops, when a waiter or a server drops their tray and people clap.
Oh, yeah.
That's the deal breaker for
That's the
me.
deal
I
breaker.
hate, and they're like, oh, like, ugh. Yeah, that's my, have you, wait, yeah. Sorry if you do that.
No.
But
No. In my head, when that happens, I don't know what your school was like, Jay, but in where I'm from, if someone had dropped a plate in like the school cafeteria or something, we'd all bang on the tables and go, "Way!" like that. So whenever I hear a plate smash, I immediately want to go, "Way!" like that. I don't know why. And bang on the table. It's the yob in me, clearly.
I just got a knot in my stomach and feel a little bit sick. So yeah, that's bringing back a lot of memories.
That happened in your school as well?
I'm quite a clumsy person, shall we say?
Oh no, did you get hate a lot?
I'm bringing back traumatic memories for Jay.
I don't know much about Jay's younger life. Let's do it. Let's bring up more
I don't
things
know much
from
about
his
my
younger
younger life.
life.
I blocked most of it out. It's nothing good there.
Well, I guess you said you don't remember 12 and beyond.
That was before we recorded,
before
but
that.
yeah.
That's maybe why. I remember the first time I saw Danny Trejo in a movie.
Yeah.
Desperado?
Bringing it back to the movie, and that was Spy Kids. The first
Ooh.
film I ever saw Danny Trejo in was Spy Kids. And I also realised that the first film I ever saw John Malkovich in was Johnny English.
Oh, okay.
So we're not doing very well. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, yeah, and the first film I saw Michael Caine in was Miss Congeniality. I've really not given these great actors a very good first impression. So thank goodness I pursued with watching more films, or else. Oh, and the first film I saw Steve Buscemi in was Spy Kids 2, The Island of Lost Dreams.
So you went to Miss Congeniality before Muppet Christmas Carol for Caine.
Jay, I've never seen Muppets Christmas Carol.
Okay. That's fine. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. This is fine. It's not a problem.
I promised my best friend as well. I promised it's one of her favourite. Oh no, actually that was Muppets Treasure Island. I've got a lot of Muppets films to watch.
Yeah, I mean, our regular guest Nick Rehak loves. That's like his favourite film is Muppet Treasure Island.
And it's on Disney Plus, so I need to watch it. Oh, and thank you for choosing a film. Con Air is also on Disney Plus as well, so I was very pleased to figure that out.
Yeah.
Although I have a bone to pick with the Disney Plus version of Con Air, and it's to do with this scene, because they speak Spanish in this scene.
They do.
And in the clip that you sent me, it was subtitled. Great, fine. The version on Disney Plus just said "speak Spanish." And it's not like the Spanish is inconsequential to the plot. It's a character introducing themselves. So I love how someone just went, "Nah, this won't be important.
You
I'll
don't
just
need
speak
to know
Spanish
this guy's
and
a
move on."
rapist. That's fine. You could.
They phoned it in then, didn't they?
Yeah, and it's like it's introducing himself. This is important. The person who subtitles the Disney Plus version needs a talking to.
Yeah.
And Cyrus, I'm glad you brought him up because he does the classic "I'm the villain, but then there's worse villains on this place than me" type trope. There's always like the villain that's the absolute worst. Like in Heat, you have Waingro. Wait, we're going back to Waingro.
Yeah, he's in this film. He's dead.
Oh yeah,
he died in scene 2.
Yeah, so you always have the worst of the worst in here. So with Johnny 23, he makes sure to be like, I hate rapists. You guys are the cockroaches and the white stuff on. That's such every line
It's my
is
favorite
written.
insult.
It's such like a writer's insult. Like I've never heard that before. If I tried to insult somebody with that line, I would fumble it about 8 times.
It'd be interrupted 4 words in, but with a fist to the face, I think.
You know, there was like 24 alternatives to that one as well, and there was a massive conversation about, right, which one are we going to go with? There's absolutely alts for that one, and they were all probably equally ridiculous.
Oh, if Judd
like,
Apatow had done it, there'd be like a 20-minute segment at the end of the film of just doing the alternate lines. Ugh.
Yeah.
This is Melissa McCarthy improving for 30 minutes. Which is pretty great.
Wait, Melissa McCarthy as Cyrus the Virus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Judd Apatow universe, Rebecca, have you watched a lot of Judd Apatow movies?
I've watched some, a
Who?
while ago, but yes, I've watched some of them.
So people from those movies in Con Air, who would be Cameron Poe based on Judd Apatow's cinema?
Steve Carell?
Sandler from Funny People?
I feel like Sandler from Zohan would be a better Poe.
Oh my god, he's powerful though. He would wipe everybody out. And there is a jet ski action scene in that movie.
Who's Paul Rudd in one of these as one of these characters?
Paul Rudd could do Cusack. I reckon he'd do a good Cusack.
Yeah.
I've disappointed Mark. I'm sorry.
No, I like that. That's great. No, that's perfect.
Okay.
No, I like that. That's a good one.
Okay.
And then, let's see, Judd Apatow.
So
Leslie Mann would have to be one of the prisoners.
Or she could be Bishop if we're keeping her, or indeed Poe's wife, Trisha, maybe.
She's Billy
Because
Bedlam.
she's Judd Apatow's wife. She always gets put in the wife role. So
I want to see her be Billy Bedlam.
that would be great.
Oh, and then we got like the super bad guys. He produced Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, so Jonah Hill could do a good Cole Meany. I reckon he could do Malloy.
Pete
Yeah,
Davidson.
I see it.
Pete Davidson is Pinball. That fits really well in my head. So we can keep Buscemi because I think I'm not sure if he's ever in a Apatow, but he's with Sandler so much they can just keep Buscemi.
Would Jay Baruchel be a good C. Buscemi? Or is that doesn't work?
I think it could work. I'm not sure where else I'd put him. So we could do that. I don't want to see this film is the problem.
Bill
No.
Hader from Trainwreck could be Cameron Poe.
Yeah. Trying to think who do we hate enough from those films that would be Johnny 23. Okay. Steve Carell is Johnny 23 because he's the nicest guy in the world and just make him be this horrible creature.
I don't want this
That would be
movie.
No, I don't want this
quite
movie.
the turn.
Let's stop.
No,
Let's
it
stop doing this.
just doesn't work.
It would be 2.5 hours.
Let's abandon it. Yeah, it would be too long. So Danny Trejo. I want to put Danny Trejo, who I love him in everything. He's great in Anaconda. Talked about it on TBC the podcast. He's great in everything, and it amuses me that he's playing the worst guy in the world in this film because in real life he's like the greatest guy. I was just kind of digging into Danny Trejo's life today, and he's like such a nice guy with such a kind of sordid start. He was first arrested, I think, when he was 10, after doing his first drug deal at 7. He's had a hell of a life, this guy, getting kicked around from place to place. He went on the run with his dad when he was before the age of 10, I think, because his dad was wanted for stabbing someone. And
Wow.
He's been in prison for quite a long time. Not a Cyrus the Virus amount of time, but still quite a long time. But then whilst he was in prison, mainly for drug-related stuff, he reformed, basically, and he came out and did a lot of work helping get people off of drugs and doing rehab. And through that, he fell into acting, essentially, because one of the guys he was helping was like, "Oh, I'm an extra. They pay you $50 a day to be an extra." And so he was like, "Oh, that sounds like good. That sounds good fun." And so he was in Runaway Train with Eric Roberts and Jon Voight. Amazing film. Great film. Runaway Train's an awesome film. And they found out that the writer of Runaway Train had served time with Danny Trejo in prison and knew that he had done boxing, and they had like a boxing scene in the film, so they ended up paying like $250 a day for boxing in the film. And he's just gone on from there to be like one of the nicest guys ever. He's rescued a kid from a burning car just a few years ago. Bearing in mind he's 78 now. So like in his 70s, he rescued someone from a burning car. Just Danny Trejo's life is amazing. He was on The Masked Singer last year.
What?
Oh my god, no.
He's
Wow.
a legend of stage and screen. And I love him dearly, and it just amuses me that he's playing such a terrible person. So just such an unrepentant twat in Con Air. That just how wonderful he is as a guy. But yeah, just
Aw.
if you like want to have a good storybook afternoon, then read Danny Trejo's Wikipedia page. It like starts out terribly, but gets a hell of a lot better as it goes along.
I saw him on an episode of he was on an episode of Parts Unknown, Anthony Bourdain's show. I think he was on an episode, a Los Angeles episode, and he came across so nice. I don't know if he owns like a food truck or a restaurant or something.
He's got a
but
restaurant chain, yeah.
A restaurant, okay, yeah. But yeah, he came across so nice on that as well. So yeah. I'm glad that things have worked out for him.
Yeah, he's got a chain of restaurants, his own brand of beer, coffee, a brand of ice cream sandwiches that he developed.
I hope he did it in Robert
real
Rodriguez's
Renaissance man.
kitchen. Like Robert Rodriguez does those cooking classes for a lot of his DVDs. That'd be fun to see him and Trejo cooking together, like a chef show, but with Danny Trejo and Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, they're second cousins. That's why they work together so much. They're family.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And-
God, I'm learning so much.
I think Trejo is like, so when I watched Desperado in '95, I was 13 and I absolutely loved it. And my mom drove me to a flea market and I bought throwing knives. And I went out into my lawn in Florida, unsupervised.
This
barefoot.
explains why you have 3 fingers on your left hand. I get it now.
Exactly. I was barefoot, walked into the grass, just I was like that feral 13-year-old kid, and I go up to a palm tree because I grew up in Florida, the woods of Florida, not like the cool parts of Florida. It's getting better now. It's actually quite nice now. But I walked up to a palm tree and I threw a throwing knife. The first one dinked off, the second one dinked off, and I threw it and it bounced off of the palm tree, came back at me, and then it landed in between my big toe and the toe next to it, but right in between it, like right into the grass. And that was the only time I ever threw throwing knives in my life.
Oh,
They
my
went back
gosh.
into their case. They went in with I had a knife collection at 13. I wasn't even like a violent kid, but like I just feel like that's what you did when you went to flea markets when you were 13 and lived in Florida. So I bundled up my throwing knives and I put them in
You
a
threw them
shoebox. Yeah, I put them in a shoebox and I never looked at them again because, I mean, I maybe should have tried plywood or something, going up to a palm tree and just, I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. I was 13 and I had throwing knives and I was unsupervised. So I guess that's what I was thinking. But yeah, I'll always remember that day. I watched that movie, and actually, I went and watched another movie, and we had a family friend called Alfonso. He's like, "You got to go see Desperado, man." I was like, "All right." So I went and watched it, and then I got my throwing knives, and I almost impaled my foot with a throwing knife.
The amount of people I know who would have done that, looked down, seen the blade between their toes and gone, "Oh, cool," and then tried to do it again. Instead, like, try and replicate the exact same thing. Means that you have a lot of fortitude there, Mark. A lot of common sense, which is not something I normally would say to you. To like wrap it up and go, nope, moving on.
Yeah. It hit
glad
me
you did.
quick. I was like, I dodged a bullet here. I remember thinking that. I remember thinking nothing good can come from this. Like, you got to weigh the pros and cons of these throwing knives. And I just retired them right down there when I was 13.
This has
Proud
been
moment in my life.
This has been a short chapter in my life, and let's move on to the next one.
Moving on. Yeah, he's so gross in this movie. You know, the crazy thing about Con Air is, I remember watching this when I was 15, and all of Garland Green stuff when he's sitting with the girl in the swimming pool. The Johnny 23. There's definitely an edge to this movie. There's some cruelty to it. The way Pinball dies. Just. It's an interesting movie that kind of blends some comedy, but it also gets really mean in this film. Like, it's not like the traditional Michael Bay PG-13 type thing, like watching Dave Chappelle light that guy on fire, or Pinball light that guy on fire. Warlock is his name.
Yeah, not
it just
Cochise, as like Dave Chappelle just reels off a bunch of racism in this chapter.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. He just. I don't even want to repeat some of the lines.
we're not
And
gonna.
No.
But it's an interesting like combo, right? Like, you feel, maybe it was just me when I was younger watching it, but it felt just watching Garland Green in the swimming pool with that girl. I was like, what is happening? Like, this is crazy. And then, like, I've always felt unhealthy around Johnny 23. So like, it's an interesting combo where it feels like there's some stakes in this movie and it gets kind of ugly, if that makes sense. And do you think that makes it a better movie?
Yeah.
I guess it's nice that it's not completely sanitized, I think, because they are convicts at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I
No,
feel like nowadays we do get a lot of sanitized action films, and this is definitely on the grittier edge.
Because like, there's 3 convicts on this plane who are deemed worse than Johnny 23. Like Cyrus, Billy, and Diamond Dog, they're in their own little cages. And there's one empty one
That's
ready for
true.
when Garland arrives. So they're deemed like, these guys are worse than this guy who has 23 accounts of rape on his sheet. allegedly at least another 577 to his name that he readily admits to. And these 3 guys are worse than him. I feel like he should be in a cage.
A literal cage?
Maybe because, I mean, there was a female guard on the plane, but maybe because his crime is more difficult to commit on the plane, they thought, we'll take our chances. We'll just put him in a normal seat.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I don't know. But he has quite an
putting him in a cage, isn't
yeah.
it?
True.
Do you not want to give him that? Like, don't put him in there. He'll get too cocky.
Yeah, I mean, he looks proud when Cyrus is like, 23 counts of rape. He's like, yeah, that's me. Oh, Jesus. Like, the pride.
I mean, he has the tattoos to prove it. I mean, imagine. So, like, you've got to think, like, how did he kind of get to 23 and then be like, you know what, that's a good number. I'll get my tattoo now. Or did he get the base of the tattoo done? And then does he go back every time to his prison tattoo guy or his outside tattoo guy to then get the hearts added on?
I was thinking the same thing. They say he says later in the film when he's trying to make some moves on Bishop that make some moves is a really mild way of expressing what he's doing. When he's trying to rape Bishop, he says that they're going to be Johnny 24 soon. So it's a name that evolves. But like, does he often run into people who are like, Johnny 17? He's like, no. 6 more. Like,
oh no. Well, he also said it should be 600. So then maybe he's only done the ones that he got accounted for.
Yeah, definitely.
And then he got him in jail.
I think that must be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I kind of saw it as like a really warped, like, you know what? She's going to be impressed by this, like a kind of weird bravado, like kind of thing. I don't know. 600 is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's akin to Cyrus's like killed more men than cancer kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of. I think that's just kind of bravado. But I like that I found out the kind of Latino version of Johnny is I think I'm gonna say this completely awfully, but like Juanio is the Latino version of Johnny because he calls him Juanio 23. I didn't realize that there was I didn't realize there was like, I mean, obviously Juan John.
Yeah, I would have assumed
but
Juan,
I didn't realize there was an actual version of. Yeah, I didn't know. So I've learned so much through this through this thing. So again, really cultured. But
thanks to Cyrus the Virus, we've learned.
We have learned. Yeah.
Is that what he calls him? Is it when he gets his attention?
Yeah, he calls him Juanio 23.
But according to
Not Johnny 23.
According to Conair Wiki, which is conair.fandom.com, his name is John Baca, Baca. I don't know where this has come from. I'm going to keep an eye out for it in the rest of the film. I didn't spot it when we had the computer screens in previous chapters. I didn't spot a name there.
IMDb even lists it just as Johnny 23.
Yeah.
Because I was looking before, so.
But some wonderful person has made Conair Wiki and they've called him John Baca, and so we have to try and find out where has he called that. So I'll keep an eye out. But even on
watch out for that.
Even on the Conair Wiki, Baby O's crime is unknown. So no one has written what he did.
So there's 18 prisoners on the first load in this thing. One that who get dropped off, and they are the first trip until they get to Carson City. But if we remove Willie and Cameron Poe and Baby O, then we get to 15? And then there's 11 current affairs, 2 hard copies, and we know that Diamond Dog was
the General Geraldo interviewee. Although he could also be a hard copy and the other one that you just said, I can't remember right now.
Current affairs. So who are the 2 hard copies? Who do you think are the 2 hard copies?
Well, yeah, because he wrote a book, didn't he, Diamond Dog?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Which, they're looking at Denzel for the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, so we know Diamond is. Do you think Diamond was hard copied?
So, well, what is a hard copy when he's referring to it? What does that mean?
Oh, it's like
published a book.
It's
If that's what I read it as, or no?
Oh, it's like a TV show we had. It was like hard copy, where they looked at crimes and they kind of interviewed people. It was like a television interview entertainment show. It was a TV
Oh,
program.
I honestly thought that meant that they'd written books like a hardback. That's what my mind went to. But yeah, I don't know.
So it was hard copy was aggressive in its use of questionable material on television, including gratuitous violence.
So I feel like Diamond Dog has to be on all three of these lists because he's like the most famous.
Yeah.
If he's got the Geraldo interview, he must have done the other two as well.
Okay.
I guess, but the other
Whatever
one,
makes the math work.
well, just because he's the most famous, so like he's written a book, therefore he's the most likely to be interviewed.
Does Cyrus give interviews? He might murder people.
I mean, I feel like he'd love to do an interview.
Yeah. Let's give him the other hard copy.
Yeah.
Alright.
And then Current Affairs, is that another TV show?
Yeah, it's just kind of like an Entertainment Weekly, kind of like a news program, just current affairs. So then they kind of cover. But apparently they cover 11, so they're more judicial.
Yeah. So Cameron Poe has been deemed a nobody, so he definitely wouldn't have been on that. I mean, I like to think the backstory we invented for Baby-O would make him definitely worthy of being a current affair, where he tried to break into a pharmacy to get some insulin, ended up digging under a police precinct and killing a bunch of people because he accidentally told about too much and disrupted the police captain's daughter's quinceañera. I think that would warrant a current affairs interview. So Baby-O is one of them.
Yep, definitely. In case you were wondering, it's an original infotainment news magazine. A Current Affair premiered in syndication in 1986 and was hosted by veteran journalist Maury Povich. Segments focused on the lurid sex, drugs, rock and roll scandals of the day. Religious cults were infiltrated. Clandestine, unlawful meetings were reenacted by actors. All with the sheen of hard news, courtesy of Maury Povich. And then Marino Boyle and Penny Daniels took over. But it was like sued a bunch of times. It was a pretty gnarly show. So that makes sense that they're covered on Current Affairs.
Yeah. Okay, so we know that's not Poe. It doesn't sound like the kind of thing that Johnny 23 would be on for. And also,
No.
Pinball says that he's an armed robber, arsonist, dope fiend. Hell of a nice guy. But none of those things strike me as like a good interview.
Yeah.
So I don't think Pinball. So it's basically everyone else that's left. After those, what? Carl's, Londell, Con number 1. He's unnamed. Ajax.
We have Ajax, Londell, Popovich, Warlock, Benson, Carls, John 23. There's an old Con who doesn't even have a name, which I feel bad for him. We have Con number 1, Watts, and Pinball, and then Donald. So yeah, there's 11 there. My mystery solved.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. All these fun names and then Donald.
Yeah.
I hope by the time you get to the end of the podcast, you've come up with a backstory of why each and every one of these cons are in prison.
I think
wow.
As they are no longer in the film, I think we should try and tick them off.
Okay, so as they get wiped out, then we figure out a backstory for them, kind of like a memory.
That's the plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Some of them are done for us, like the likes of Cyrus, Billy, and Diamond Dog.
Yeah, just the Donalds of the plane.
The Donalds of the plane.
Yeah. He was played by Doug Hutchinson, who has a very sordid.
Oh hell, I forgot it was him.
Yeah, he has a very sordid.
He's just playing himself. I feel like.
Yeah.
Please let's not go into Doug Hutchinson. It makes me sad.
Yeah, let's not do it. So then we'll just say that Doug is just Donald. Yeah, we'll say Donald is Doug.
Donald Hutchinson. Yeah, we know his crimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Sorry, Jay.
No, it's fine. That's entirely my fault for not checking who that guy was before bringing him up.
So, Rebecca, what are some of your favorite '90s action films? I like talking to all of our guests and what '90s action films that they love. Are there any that you can like Speed, True Lies, anything like that?
Well, are you an action fan? Would you say?
I mean, surely you brought me on for my well-known knowledge of action movies. I'm literally wearing a Greta Gerwig t-shirt.
Oh, heck yeah.
90s action films.
Barbie.
What have I?
Well, in Frances Ha, there's that 10-minute hallway fight.
Yes, that famous
Lady Bird.
90s action film, Frances Ha.
And Lady Bird, she gets a cast on her hand.
Yeah, there was
because she beats the living daylights out of.
Yeah,
of
she
her
just
mom.
falls out of the throws
Dives out
herself
of a
out.
speeding car. Yeah.
Yeah.
It had a bomb in it.
You know, funnily enough, actually, the first time I ever watched Con Air, I think was with I must have been like a teenager. I think I watched it with my family, but it was because it seemed to be a favourite amongst like boys in my year. Their 3 favourite films always seemed to be Con Air, The Shawshank Redemption, and Armageddon.
Yeah.
These were the 3 films that kept
I
popping
am
up.
in this
and
story. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I think I must have seen it on TV and be like, I'm actually going to watch this with my family, just, a nice family-friendly film. Yeah, so, not too much. I don't mind action. I just maybe don't seek it out as other people do. But it's got to be up there because it's quite... I'm not really one for really, to be honest, I'm glad that you picked this scene for me because I'm not really one for fight scenes. I kind of lose track of where people are, what's going on, and then I kind of zone out and I'm like, okay, just wake me up when someone wins. So that's not my charm really. And things get a bit crazy later on in this film, like just all kinds of cues where I don't follow it. Who are you? I don't.
It's going to be fun to keep track of, I think, or to try and keep track of.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Let's see. Greta Gerwig was in House of the Devil. There's some good murder in that. She got attacked in that one, so that's kind of an action scene with her. Let's see. She's in a movie called Lola Versus. Is that a boxing movie?
It's a Godzilla film, I think.
Yeah. And then she's in Damsels in Distress. She does the Samboka dance, which I appreciate.
I've seen so many Greta Gerwig films, and you're literally naming every single one that I've not seen. I was like, what? What is this film? I've seen so many. Yeah.
I really dug her. The first time I saw her was in Greenberg, which is one of the most uncomfortable movies I could possibly think of. That movie still haunts me. And then so after that, I kind of was like a big fan of hers. But then she was in Arthur, and I'm like, get away, like don't become that person. And then she went into like Frances Ha, and then the rest is history. She's been crushing it.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to Barbie coming out next year, gotta be honest.
Heck yeah.
I was at Barnes & Noble. An action film. That could be fun.
Oh yeah.
Lots of driving scenes.
You never know. You just never know.
Malibu's taken over by terrorists.
Yeah.
And Barbie and Ken have to take them out.
It's Die Hard in a dream house.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Die
FBI
Hard in a
Barbie
playhouse.
reporting for duty. I have no idea. Is there an FBI Barbie? I haven't tapped it.
Oh man, yeah. Have you seen what was that? Damsels in Distress? It's a good one. If you're ever bored and you want to watch a really random Greta movie,
I definitely plan on getting to them all at some point. Oh, Adrian Brody's in it. Yeah, no, that sounds right up my street.
My niece is named Greta.
It's a good name.
Yeah, strong.
I have heard her in Isle of Dogs and seen her in Wiener Dog, and that is the end of the list of films that she has been in that I've seen.
I was at a Barnes & Noble the other day buying some pretentious Criterion Blu-rays for 50% off, and I got talking with the person at the front, and their favorite director was the Greta Gerwig. She goes, "Have you seen a Greta Gerwig movie?" And I was like, "Of course." So then we chatted about her.
I would have been like, "Yeah." And then walked away.
I just brought up all the obscure ones, like a total, pretentious person. But
well, if you're gonna talk about Greta Gerwig, you may as well go the whole hog. Pretentious as possible.
Yeah, Frances Ha, that's a good movie.
I mean, do you recommend any good 90s action films that I should watch? I have watched Speed, to be fair, and I'm sure I've watched some others, but actually, to be honest, it's not an action film, but Shawshank Redemption is going to be one of my most rewatched films. I can just put that on and do another prison film at least.
Well, the 3 we always mention are Con Air, Face Off, and The Rock as being the Nick Cage action trilogy. Right. They all come out within like a year and a half of each other.
I have seen Face Off, not for a very long time, but I have never seen The Rock. But you do talk about it a lot, so maybe that's got to be on the list.
It's very Con Air-esque in terms of having a ridiculous cast of actors who are
and
more
it is
known
also
for
on Disney
drama.
Plus.
Yeah, it's the Criterion
I really
collection.
have no excuse.
It's a Criterion.
Hard Boiled is one I recommend. John Woo. It's filmed in Hong Kong. John Woo directed movie. Chow Yun Fat, Tony Leung are the stars, and it's just a beautiful, extremely fun. Let's see, action. Also, Robert Rodriguez. You saw Spy Kids. Have you seen Desperado?
I haven't seen Desperado, no.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry to assume, but yeah, you'll both will go by throwing knives and get them stuck in your foot.
Okay. Crossing it off my list now.
Yeah. So those are the two I recommend. That's it.
Great.
Wait.
Super.
Yeah. Hard Boiled, and I already forgot my second one that I said.
Well, you recommended Breakdown, I think, last week.
Oh yeah, Breakdown.
And that's on Paramount Plus at the moment with Kurt Russell.
Okay.
And I watched that this past week, and it's great. It's he's just a guy who his car breaks down. His wife gets in a truck comes by to help out. His wife gets in, and then she disappears, and he's got to try and find her, and it's great. I loved it.
Since we recommended some movies, what do you recommend?
Yeah, well,
You want me to recommend a 90s action film?
No, anything.
necessarily.
Tell us to watch something. What
80s
should
action,
we be
2000s
what should we be
action?
watching right now? Anything. I feel bad just going like, hey, watch this movie.
We'll tell you
tell
our
me
stuff.
something I gotta watch.
You've got to give me some parameters because this is hell. Just anything. I don't know. I'm trying to think of
anything that anyone in Con Air is in, maybe.
Ooh.
That helps.
Okay.
Which is most
well,
films, I think.
I was going to say, if you've not seen Spy Kids 2, The Island of Lost Dreams, and Steve Buscemi's in that
All right,
one.
I'll watch that.
I love the Spy Kids films when I think I've still got them on. Oh no, I must have had them on VHS. But what a pairing. Antonio Banderas. Who's the actress who played his I'm going to have to look it up. She's great. They have No, they've got such good chemistry. Spy Kids cast. Honestly, like, as families go, oh no, I've got this friggin', they've got like they're doing like a TV show of it now. It's coming back. Like Netflix is doing like a reboot or like a, something.
And the kids are the parents.
Carla Gugino.
Yes,
Carla Gugino.
I'm really pleased you said it because I was about to say her name out loud for the first time in my life, and I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Listeners, I'm sorry that you got to miss out on that.
That's quite all right. But yeah, no, that was my first Danny Trejo film. Oh,
Ricardo
yeah,
Montalban.
I knew he played a character called Machete, but I didn't realise his first name was Isidore Cortez.
I think that name came up in the Machete films rather than in the Spy Kids films. I think.
Oh, that's disappointing.
But having not seen a Spy Kids film, but having seen both Machete films, that's a guess. So.
Spy Kids made 148 million. Like, these movies made bank worldwide.
They're great. When your daughter's old enough, you should definitely introduce her to Spy Kids because they're great.
Alan Cumming plays Fegan Floop.
Alan Cumming is a delight in this film.
He's a delight in everything.
Delight.
He's always great.
Spy Kids 3 made 187 million on like a $35 million budget.
It had a 3D bump, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, the second one made 120 on 38 million. I love Rodriguez. He just goes out and makes movies in Austin and just kind of crushes it. I read his book. You know, he like dedicated his body to science in the early 90s to make money. He had like scientific experiments done on him to make money to make El Mariachi. And he has a book called Rebel Without a Crew that everyone should read.
And then he still puts Danny Trejo in the Star Wars TV shows that he does as the Rancor keeper.
Which, say what you want about Boba Fett, it features a Rancor.
I liked it well enough. Yeah. Damning with fake praise.
Rebecca.
No, that's quite all right. I had no idea that Robert Rodriguez was making Star Wars shows.
Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett. He directed some of those. Yeah.
You've both just completely. Oh, actually, no. Now you've said that, I did know that. I thought in my head this was kind of like a weird side project thing that he was working on. But yes, I am aware of the Boba Fett TV show. So yes, that makes complete sense. You guys are just completely, blowing my mind. I've learned so much on this podcast.
Well, one more thing. There's a slight difference between what happens in the scene and what happens in the script, which is as part of Falzone's issuing of the rules, he says in the film that if anyone passes gas in his direction, it offends his delicate nasal passages, your testicles will become my personal property. He also says at the start this is just like kindergarten. I remember that differently. But in the script, he says, these rules will be enforced. If not, I will be gargling testicles.
I wonder why they changed it.
Yes, because I'm pretty sure some people might like that. I don't know. It seems an odd threat, shall we say.
Well, I mean, gag and bag is...
Gag and bag this Nazi muffin is just a wonderful turn of phrase.
Yeah, I like it.
And he gets shot.
Yeah, he gets shot, yes.
And then he became John Cusack's assistant.
That's why he had to get shot.
He was already Cusack's assistant.
Oh.
Because Grosse Pointe Blank came out before Con Air. He was assistant in that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. He plays Eckhart in Grosse Pointe Blank, a character I do not remember, so I cannot confirm. And a little light Googling brought me nothing.
Assistants do get roles. I saw assistants get roles on sets. Like, some people have their own dedicated stand-in, and then they always get a line in the movie. Just to make it worth their time for traveling down there to be the person's full-time stand-in and double. So that makes sense. Give the guy a line, put a bag over his head, get him some SAG residuals, and then he can go get Cusack his sandals for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
All right.
Just one last thing I want to point out. We always pick up on good sweat work. This is a very sweaty film. But when Baby-O is brought on, he is so sweaty. He's not doing well.
Yeah.
This Baby-O.
Wait, we never talked about Willie.
We didn't talk about the
Getting
gun
the
planting.
gun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cole Meany's such a punk in this film.
Yeah. It's a real rough. He's like fake patting him down, but he's doing it quite aggressively.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta
So
make it believable.
So instead of Chekhov's gun, it's going to be Willie's gun. It's going to come back later in the film.
I'm using that from now on. Willie's gun.
Willie's gun, yeah. And also the very obviously you'll be talking about this more next week, but just as this last scene ends, we see Cyrus taking the nail out of his palm.
Yep.
Did they not have metal scanners in 97?
They just patted them down.
Is it too small to pick up on scanners anyway, do you think? It's only quite small. That's
my guess would
it's like
be
the equivalent of like a belly button piercing, really. It's tiny.
Oh, when they brought them on,
large earring.
Sorry, when they brought them onto the plane, they were all wearing handcuffs. So I'm guessing if they did a kind of a scanner, it would have bleeped at the handcuffs, and it would have seen, there's nothing in his hand.
Yeah, they probably see the hand and then they don't beep it.
Yeah, because like who would have something in their hand? Ridiculous idea.
This is why Cyrus has all the masters. I mean, this is the master's degrees. Like, that's just, he thinks about these things, clearly.
He got his PhD in putting nails in your hand.
Yeah.
That's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not pleasant to see. We're going to have more of that next week, and it's going to remain unpleasant next week, and even more so. Things are going to come out of all sorts of places next week. I'm not looking forward to it.
All the things we should look forward to.
Oh, there's thing in your stomach. Put it out of your throat. Lovely. Ugh.
Oh. Good luck with that.
Fun times.
I'm excited. I gotta prep for it. I'm gonna go method. Put a pin in my finger for the next one.
This was the last.
Was
time
the throwing knives not enough?
Yeah. Next week's show is in memoriam for Mark.
Yeah.
After things didn't go well.
Survived throwing knives, but not the pin in his thumb.
So Rebecca, thank you for joining us. What have you got to plug? What are you doing over at Almost Ginger? What can the listeners find you doing?
Well, yeah. I mean, Almost Ginger is my bag. I write filming location guides, so if you need to know the locations of a film, it might be on there. It might not. Let me know. I'll probably write it if it's not currently on there. But yeah, I'm quite active on Instagram. If you want to follow me at Almost Ginger without the E, that's pretty much where you can find me.
And a very good follow on Instagram as well, I would say.
Thank you.
You're always posting a lot over there. Mainly books.
To be honest, yeah, which is probably why I'm struggling for film recommendations, because pretty much all I do nowadays is read. So got to get
book
back on
recommendations. What's a book recommendation?
One I finished quite recently is called The Berlin Stories. So this is by a guy called Christopher Isherwood. He lived in Berlin in between the two world wars. And one of the Berlin stories is called Sally Bowles, who is the main character in Cabaret. So I have not seen Cabaret yet, but because I wanted to read the book first, but I absolutely loved it. I thought he lived in Berlin during the two world wars. Like, that's just a very interesting premise as it is. But yeah, his book kind of inspired Cabaret. So that was a very good read.
The Berlin Stories.
Definitely. The Berlin Stories. Yeah.
All right.
Loved it.
I love a good read. I've just been reading like The Wire oral history. I need to get into something different. That'd be nice.
I need to read anything. I just don't have that.
Heather Baxendale Walsh wrote a book.
Next week's guest, I'm sure we plugged then.
Yeah, I bought it.
I did as well. It's sat next to me. I look forward to gazing at it every day and maybe reading it someday.
Well, mine's enough. You supported, go on Goodreads, give it a 5-star.
Will do.
Yeah.
I forgot to say, you mentioned, Mark, that there's 16 cons on the plane so far. I think, did you say 16?
18.
18.
But Willie counts, right?
Oh, Willie's not a con.
So we have 17 cons.
He's undercover, so 17 cons. I counted 11 on screen in the chapter. There's a few like backs of heads I couldn't quite make out. So there's 11 like definitely identified. But if you're looking, you can probably find all 17 in there. So let's just say 17. Not in the air yet. The plane has not yet taken off. So 17 cons, none in the air in chapter 7. Mark, what have you got to plug?
Let's see. Moviesfilmsflix.com, Movies Films on FLIX. You can go to Rotten Tomatoes. I wrote a 25th anniversary piece for Event Horizon, a movie I love. I should have like a Sesame Street video up on Film Theorists. And if you go to Fandom by the Numbers, I should have like 4-bit videos up in that time. And then Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. And, yeah, that's it.
Very nice. Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, where we're covering Deep Blue Sea adjacent films, one a month at the moment. When this comes out, I think our most recent one would have been The Reef. Stalked, sequel to The Reef. Which is a new film, 2022 film. So go find out how deep and blue that film is, if you're interested. Having a fun time over there. Personal site is lifeversusfilm.com for me. And you can follow this podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ConAirPod, or email us conairpodcast@gmail.com is our email address. But we've mentioned it. Next week, Heather will be back on. Fan favourite from Deep Blue Sea. But thank you again, Rebecca, for joining us for this chapter.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
I've been Jake Lewis.
I'm Mark Hoffmeyer.
Come back next week or the bunny gets it.
Sigh.
And Nora.